How's it going, good friends? Brian from Apex Detail, and it is that time again for another segment of Mail Call. Hey, let's get right into it. Richard Barrick wants to know if any of you guys out there have tried anything in your wiper reservoir besides the regular wiper solution. He's tried ONR. I have not tried ONR, but I have used Angel Wax Clarity. And that you could use for just about all seasons. In the wintertime, you can cut that 1-to-1. And not only is it a windshield washer, but it will lay down then a hydrophobic barrier on your windshield. So yeah, I'll let that question out to you guys. Let us know down in the comment section, what have you added to your washer reservoir besides just regular washer fluid? Okay, next question. Justin Wheeler wants to know about shop lighting, what I recommend and what I use. I may not be the best source for this because I do darkroom correcting, which means I turn out all of the non-essential lights in the shop and just have one source of light coming from either my Husky or my Job Smarts, which are on stands, and I'll just place them at the right angle. All the other lights go off. So I don't have a ton of expensive lights here in the shop because I like to turn them all off. And there are some sources, softer lights and some whiter lights that are better for some colors than other darker colors and then white colors. Yeah, so you can look into that. If you're going to stock your shop with some real sophisticated lighting, I, however, just like the one source. And it doesn't matter what color it is. I can see all the imperfections with that source. The Job Smarts or the Huskies are just fine, and they're cheap. I don't use the scan grips. There's no need for it. I can see and remove all of the imperfections just with what I have there at the perfect angle with no other lights on. Next, Matthew Williams wants to know which one I would recommend between the Torque 10FX, this bad boy right here, or the M8 polisher from MaxShine. They all have their pros and cons. This one here is quite light and it's very compact and skinny. You can get it into tight places. It's the externals anyway are really quality made. The ergonomics feel good in your hands. It is a little less powerful, however, than the M8 here. This is more of a crude design here. Excellent for beginners. You don't need anything extravagant to do your first correction or enhancement with. The M8 is more powerful. Also, the M8, you don't have to worry about these weird, odd located speed buttons. It's a digital interface here, where that is just a speed dial where you can keep correcting and also just adjust speed with your thumb. This is soft start, and it's a little bit more high-tech. However, if you want more power and want to get the job done, you have 2 more millimeters on your throw, on your oscillation, with the M8 than you do this guy right here. So it's a give and take. It all depends what you want. If you want comfort, low noise, then go with the Torque, a better feel. If you want more power, a longer throw, and a better speed dial location, then go with the M8. Okay, Sandro Herrera wants to know about my YouTube equipment, my recording equipment, the sound equipment. There's not a lot to know, guys. I keep it simple. I travel light. When I want to get footage around the shop, it's either with a smartphone or it's going to be with the GoPro right here. I have a couple of GoPros. I have the 7, I have the 8 Black, and this guy here is, how could I say, this one here is dispendable because this one I'll stick on the side of a car if I'm trying to get that type of a shot. If I don't care about which one I want to lose, the 7 can go, can fall off, can get lost, can get broken. But the Black is an excellent choice. You can record in linear. It has great microphone, external microphone options for it. You can get external microphones for this as well. This is a remote unit here. This is the Fifine remote, and you can hook it up also with a lapel mic or this headset mic right here. Or, bear with me for a minute, that's all the equipment I use except for a couple stands here and a couple tripods, but I keep it simple. I travel light. There is really no need. If you have one of the later cell phones or the iPhones, you would have to spend about $1,250 or more to get a higher quality camera. That's how high tech these phones are nowadays. Yeah, you could really go crazy with some expensive equipment. I don't. I'm cheap, and I don't like to pack up a lot of stuff when I go to record footage. I don't like a lot of equipment around me when I'm recording footage, so the GoPro and the cell phones are the way I go. Okay, next, Tim Lee wants to know what he can use on older door seals, rubber door seals that squeak and are starting to get dry rotted and dry out. On my older vets, I use the tilt forward slide out. And this is an RV product. Some of the RVs that have those sections that slide out have rubber seals, and to keep them in tip-top shape, you hit them with the slide out. Keeps them from dry rotting, keeps them nice and soft, and I believe will stop your squeaking problem because I have some of that. I have some of that problem with some of my older classic vets, and I use it on all of the seals on those as well. I think that will help you too. Okay, next, Danny Elias wants to know about cure time. Okay, so 24 hours to 48 hours, depending on how layers you have, is perfect to get the most gloss and slickness out of the coating. You know, if you're doing it for yourself. Doing it for my customers. Okay, so I do have a shop with a couple bays here that I could set. This one here is curing. This one's finished and it's curing. But sometimes a customer would need to pick the vehicle up and I'm just finishing up on the deadline, and the earliest I will let it go is 4 hours after I've coated. If it's nice, if it's not raining. So 4 hours, if it's nice, you can let it go. If you're doing it for a customer, I would make sure it's not going to rain that evening or the next morning. But ideally, you want to let it sit for 24 to 48 hours. If you want to speed up the process to 8 hours, you can use infrared lighting. But that's the way I do it. All right, next, Gary Fisher wants to know what I recommend for matte or satin finishes. They do make dedicated coatings for satin finishes, and they're becoming more and more common. And then aftercare, or if you just don't want to coat them whatsoever and just use a quick detailer or a wax, Angel Wax has a line called Luminosity. They have a tin wax for matte or satin finishes. They have a quick detailer, and they have a shampoo. So that's an option. And a lot of the other product lines do have now dedicated matte finishes or satin finishes for not only painted surfaces, for wheels, and many, many other parts on your car. Okay, this is a good question. T. Sandlin wants to know how I remove snow in the wintertime. We get a lot of snow up here in the Northeast, and especially on a coated car. And my daily is coated, so what I'll do is I'll take the leaf blower out and I'll blow as much as I can, unless it's a crust and it won't blow off. But a lot of the times there's going to be either a crust on the top if it ends with rain, or a crust on the bottom with some softer stuff on top, and I'll blow as much off as I can to take weight off of that icy crust that's on the surface of the car. I'll then start up the car and let it warm up. Turn on the heat full blast and let it idle. Most of the time, a lot of it will slide off by itself, but since I blew a lot of the weight off, there's a less chance of marring because the weight is lifted. If I have to pull it off, because you get fined up here if you don't pull it off your roof and any part of your car and it flies up and goes back to the car behind you, it's a hefty fine, so you want to get all of it off. They have the foam pads on the end of what would look like a broomstick where you can gently pull it off. After you have used a leaf blower to blow off as much weight as you can to lift up the weight, and then also start the car, warm the car as much as you can, turn on the heat, all the window heaters, everything, and then gently pull off. Sometimes I will pull off with that foam pad onto a section of my hand so I can lift it up off the car, but that's how I do it. All right, and finally, Lance wants to know what happens to clear coat over time. Well, it does get a little bit stiffer. It loses its elasticity. It expands and contracts along with the primer coat and the base coat as it heats up and it cools down over time. It loses that's pliability or that elasticity, and it gets harder and more brittle, and sometimes will fail, and that's where you see that cracking and peeling clear coat. But it can get more stubborn over time to correct as well. And that's another reason that I like to have you guys not hover over an area and raise temperatures on a panel, especially aged clear coat, 5-10 years old, where you're really making it expand and contract in one area where the rest of the panel is room temperature, and it's really causing a lot of stress. So that's why I stress that in a lot of my videos. I hope that helps. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for today's mail call. Keep those questions coming. They are fantastic, and I hope I'm helping with this series. That's what it's all about, you guys. I don't care how many or how little views I get, as long as questions keep coming in. This is an excellent platform for me to help you, and I am planning to put something together if YouTube would ever get their platform straightened out and work smoothly. I want to do a YouTube live where I can get a panel out and you can ask questions about removing scratches or imperfections live, and I can answer your questions, or just any subject at all we could have for that segment. And you can answer, just throw those questions at me and I can answer them. So I'm looking to put something like that together, and we'll see what I can come up with for the future. But for now, this has really been fun answering your question sort of directly, one-on-one, instead of exchanging emails. So keep them coming in. I will supply the email link. Catch you guys in the next one. If you are enjoying the content and find it useful, be sure to like, subscribe, share the content, hit that notification bell. That'll let you know when I have new videos available.